I'm Joanna. I'll be guiding you for the next 45 minutes. And today's practice is focused on our element series. And today we're looking at our fifth and final element, ether or space. Practice will be yin in style. The reasoning for this was so that we can start to cultivate more space, more ether in our physical body, and settle into space and time and experience what that looks and feels like for us. So to begin, grab your props. I have allocated a bolster, 2 blocks, a blanket, and an eye pillow for this class. If you don't have all of those props, just grab what you have. Extra cushions, extra layers of clothing, whatever you can gather to make your practice comfortable. And then you can start in Savasana, or you can start in child's pose today. If neither of those options work for you, feel free to sit in a chair, or feel free to lean against a wall and extend your legs forward, no problem. If you're in Savasana, child's pose, feel free to add some props under your chest or forehead, or between your hips and your heels. Once you're comfortable, close your eyes, soften your shoulder blades down the back of your rib cage. Relax your forehead, your jaw, soften around your throat. Take a big breath into your chest. Take a big breath into your lower belly. And then just leave your breath as it is. As you feel the anchor of your pelvis rooting down. The 5 great elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They represent the solid, liquid, radiant, gaseous, and etheric forms of matter, which make up the outer world of experience, including the physical body. The sense organs and organs of action work upon them in receptive and active roles, respectively. Yet the elements are principles of density, apply to all mediums, and have their actions relative to the mind and vital force as well. Earth, on one hand, is a completely dense medium that allows for no evident movement. Ether, on the other hand, is a completely subtle or receptive medium that allows complete freedom of movement. Between these two polarities, there are possible densities affording the complete range of experience and the manifestation of all ideas. The 5 elements themselves are also manifestations of ideas. They are different densities or fields of expression for different ideas. And ether manifests the idea of connection, allowing for interchange between all material mediums, communication, and self-expression. To put it another way, ether manifests the idea of space, air that of time, fire that of light, water that of life, and earth that of form. Like the different lines and colors of an artist, these are the different mediums necessary for cosmic intelligence to express itself. Ether manifests the idea of connection, allowing for interchange between all material mediums, communication, and self-expression. So as we move through this practice this morning, I invite you to reflect on your ability to communicate, your ability to express yourself. Is this easy and effortless for you? Does it pose obstacles or challenges? Do you find yourself up against roadblocks when it comes to speaking your truth? Let this be an introspective practice, focusing on these themes. Perhaps we can create some clarity and space around them as we move through this yin class. Take a deep breath in through your nose and a long exhale from your mouth. And just start to gently return to a soft, natural breath and wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe roll your wrists, move your head side to side. You might take a big stretch in the seat. And then exhale. Let us meet on our hands and knees. Feel free to have some extra padding under your knees if needed. And then you're in tabletop position with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And there may be a little bit of movement, rocking your pelvis side to side. Yeah. And then let's come into Anahata Asana, puppy pose. So walking your hands forwards and wide, keeping your pelvis high, your belly button towards your spine. Let's start to melt the chest towards the earth and back towards your thighs. Forehead or chin can rest on the mat or onto a block. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Your elbows, no problem. Put more of your forearms on the floor. And lift your arm bones away from the mat. Breath is into the chest plates and around your shoulder blades. Observe where you are creating space in this shape. Five more breaths. And then very slowly and steady walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and exhale your breath. And start to just move your hips a little side to side. Move your rib cage side to side. And pour out your breath. It might feel good to move through a cycle or two of cat and cow, rounding and arching the spine. Really in the places between the shapes is also a place to experience ether and space and what it feels good to do for you in those moments between the asana. How does it feel to move intuitively? This is a form of communication with yourself. If you're ready, you can come around to a seat and bring your legs forwards. And in fact, just the right leg will extend and the left leg will bend. You'll have the sole of your left foot to the mat, hugging that left knee towards your chest, lifting your spine nice and tall. Option to cross your left leg over your right leg and put the left foot on the mat outside your right leg. This will all depend on how things feel in your knees, your hips, so just go slow and steady. Your right arm is wrapped around your left shin and your left fingertips are on the mat behind you. Take a big inhale, long spine. As you exhale, turn your pelvis to the left, turn your chest, your rib cage, your gaze. And here we are in Marichi, a twist with breath. So making sure that with every inhale, you can feel the breath traveling all the way down to your tailbone. And with every exhale breath, you can start to encourage a little more twist if that feels appropriate for you. So inhale for length and exhale for twist. For some, it might feel nice to simply bow your chin towards your chest here. You might feel in the back or in the sides. 3 more breaths. Count your breath cycles. And then inhale all the way back to center. As you exhale, release that left foot to the sole. Your left foot is resting to your inner right leg. So either at the thigh or at the calf, wherever is comfortable. And if you have sensitive knees or hips, you might be using a block or two under that left hip or knee for support. Your hands are either side of your right leg. Your right is flexed. Your spine is tall as you take your inhale breath. As you exhale, hinge forwards at your hips, walking your hands down either side of your right leg and looking towards your right shin. If the right hamstring feels very tight today, maybe you're sliding your bolster or blanket under your right knee, so there is more softness to that leg. Your hands can rest on the mat, on the right leg, or around the right foot. Just be mindful that your shoulders don't creep up to your ears, trying to force this to happen, as this can create rounding in your spine and change the sensation we want to feel. Instead, keep your shoulders down your back and allow the spine to be long. And lean forwards with your heart towards your toes. Where are you cultivating space here? Five more breaths. And then slowly walking your hands up either side of your leg or sliding your hands up the leg, removing any props that were supporting you on that side. And lean back into your hands and extend both your legs straight. Just start to roll your ankles, wiggle your toes, rock your hips, exhale your breath, allowing there to be a flush of blood and prana down the legs into the hips. And then we'll swap sides. So now we'll bend the right knee. The sole of your right foot is to the mat, either inside the left leg or outside the left leg, depending on your knees. And then wrapping your left arm around your right shin, placing your right fingertips on the floor behind you. Begin this shape by looking forwards with a tall spine and really pushing the sole of your left foot forward. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, turn your pelvis to the right, followed by your belly, your neck, and finally. So the reason I cue the turn from the pelvis to begin is because we want this to be an integrated twist along the entire length of the spine and not just beginning the twist from the belly button. There is still more of our spine below the belly button. So let this be completely inclusive of the whole spine, and let this be a natural spiral for the back, so we don't end up with a lot of congestion or compression in around T11, T12 on the thoracic spine. From where you are in this position, make sure your breath is still fluid. So your inhale can move into the back of your throat and all the way down to the pelvic bowl. If it can't, it might mean your twist is a bit too deep. So just back off a little bit. On every exhale breath, you might be encouraging more twist if the inhale breath still feels good. Option 2, gently bow your chin towards your chest to perhaps experience more of a stretch to your neck. Five more breaths. And slowly use your inhale to come back to center. Your exhale to release your right foot to your inner left leg, wherever is comfortable. Again, add any props you might need, perhaps under that left knee, or under the right knee, or both, or none. And then flex that left foot, hands either side of your left leg. Inhale for length in the spine, and exhale as you lean forwards. Maybe walk your hands down the left leg or along the floor, looking towards your left shin. Perhaps your hands wrap around your left foot. See how it goes. And in yin, we're always looking for that sweet spot. So we always want to be in a place of active stretch. Yin is not a passive practice. So you always want to be feeling something, whether it's stretch, twist, compression. In this particular pose, we want to be feeling a stretch somewhere along the back lines of the body. Maybe it's in your hamstrings, maybe it's along the length of your spine. And so if that stretch feeling dulls at any point, that just means your body has responded to where you placed it. It has relaxed, it has adjusted to the position, and this stretch is, or the shape is no longer as challenging. And that might mean that you need to hinge forwards a little bit and find a new place of stretch, a new place to work, a new place to create space. Equally, if you find you've ventured too far into the shape, you'll notice your body starts to get agitated or contract or resist the pose. And when that happens, we do have to back off a little bit and just find that sweet edge again, the Goldilocks position, as my teacher calls it. So for these last 5 breaths, you can start to just nuzzle into that sweet spot and then count your breath cycles. And then as you're ready, walking your hands towards you, rolling up through your spine, sliding your props to one side, and extending the legs forwards, leaning into your hands, just rolling out the ankles, wiggling the toes, shaking the legs, exhaling your breath. From here, we are going to come onto the floor. I like to place a blanket on top of the mat where I'm going to be lying. If you're practicing on a hardwood floor, it's a bit cold underneath. And it will help you with grounding. And make sure your other blocks and props are to hand so that you don't have to get back up again. Once you're on your back, place your feet in parallel hip distance apart. Your heels are quite close to your glutes and your hands are on the floor. I'm going to invite you to place a prop under your pelvis. If this doesn't work for you, no problem. You can do this without the prop. Either grabbing a block or a bolster, your choice, pressing down into your feet, lifting your pelvis, and then sliding the prop underneath your body, lowering the back of the pelvis to your prop, and then just take a few breaths just to check that this feels okay for you, and you can ground. If this doesn't feel great for you, you can always shimmy yourself up against the wall, and we can take our legs up the wall so our heels rest on the wall, our legs long to the sky. That's where we're going here, Viparita Karani. So bringing the knees into the chest, feet come off the floor, and then extending the legs towards the sky. Maybe rolling the ankles, wiggling the toes above you, allowing there to be a softness through your knees, a softness in the belly, and then just stabilizing your shoulder blades to the floor, your hands to the floor. Exhaling your breath. If you feel steady, you might also float your arms above you, rolling your wrists, wiggling your fingers, and then just allowing the shoulder blades to get even heavier into the floor, elbows soft, wrists limp. So what a wonderful shape to practice experiencing ether, experiencing space. This is a gravity-defying posture. The arms and legs feeling almost weightless, floating. Just notice how this feels in your body. If at any time this does not serve your body, you can always come out, no problem. We're going to spend another 5 breaths here. And then slowly lowering your hands to the earth, bending your knees and placing your feet to the earth. It might feel nice to walk your feet as wide as your mat and rest your knees in center, create some space for your lower back. Hands can be on belly, or one on belly, one on heart, with your elbows resting to the floor. And just observing sensation running back into your legs and arms. Maybe it's cool, maybe it's warm, maybe it's tingly. Just notice. And from here, I would love for us to come into Yoga Pranayama, the 3-part breathing. so that we can cultivate more space within our body using prana, using life force energy. To begin, your hands one to belly, one to heart. You're just naturally breathing. And in a moment, you're going to be feeling your hands rising and falling against your breath. On your next inhale, I invite you to expand your lower belly first, and your diaphragm and rib cage, and then all the way up to the top of your chest. And as you exhale, releasing to the top of the chest, the diaphragm, and finally the lower belly, feeling a gentle squeeze the belly button to spine. And continuing just like that, your inhale expands lower belly first, then the upper belly and chest, all the way up to the collarbones, and then releasing from the collarbones, the rib cage, the lower belly. Continue this with your own breath rhythm. If it ever feels too much or uncomfortable, just come back to a steady, natural breath rhythm. And you can always just feel the inhales and exhales in and out of your hands. This is very soothing. Cycles of this breath. And then when you're 3 cycles complete, you can put your feet back in your lift the pelvis and lift your prop. It might feel nice to just hug your knees into your chest now and rock side to side. Enjoy being still on your back, placing your hands on your knees and making circles so that you're lubricating your hips. Some of you might enjoy happy baby, holding onto the soles of your feet or around your ankles. And extending the knees down the sides of your body, your feet flexing to the sky. And then you might also rock side, making space in the hips. And then as you're ready, we will move into our Savasana. Feel free to place your bolster under your knees, your blanket over your body or under your body, your eye pillow or a piece of clothing over your eyes, legs wide and arms wide. Placing yourself in a position that is anchoring, understanding that the mat is supporting you, the earth beneath you is supporting you. And that here you are free to float and drift in ether, in space. There is no more to do. If you have longer to dedicate to your Savasana today, please stay as you are. However, if it's time for you to come out, start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, roll your wrists and ankles. Begin to explore a full body stretch as you inhale. And as you exhale, hug your knees to your chest. Send yourself some love. Move across your back, side to side. And as you feel good and ready, you can slowly roll onto your side and take a couple more breaths. And then make your way up to a comfortable seat, either sitting on the floor, sitting on a chair, or leaning against a wall. And try and remain with your eyes closed so your experience is still inward, you are still with yourself, and all that space, newfound space you've cultivated through your body, maybe just sit and be in that experience. Ether manifests the idea of connection. allowing for interchange between all material mediums, communication, and self-expression. To close our practice today, I would love for us to move into mantra, the sound Om, the vibrational sound of the universe, and also a wonderful way to stimulate and activate the muscles of the throat and the thyroid in order to help us with self-expression and communication as we move through the rest of our day. We'll take 3 sounds of Om. If you would rather just simply listen, please do so. Inhale to Om. Thank you so much for your time. It's my pleasure to guide you through this element series. Have a wonderful rest of your day.